welcome everybody. We're hitting 12:30. I'm going to get started with our first part of the program of the day here, which I always want to start off by thanking our hosts. Thanks to the Evanston Art Center, to Paula Danoff and Carafini, who have graciously helped us set up and execute these programs. And I want to thank all of our readers and panelists for coming out to Evanston Art Center today to participate, and to our viewers online, who I know a lot of people catch these programs through our website and our archives of the Movement Matters Symposia, which today will be recording live. So to those who watch the series through the website, thank you for watching, and we've seen these numbers sort of slowly rising over time as we keep doing this, and it's part of the audience development that we're doing here at Bridge to bring up a number of sort of editorial and artistic ideas to the front, and to sort of situate the context here a little bit of these programs today in this intro. There's a mural that's been on the facade of the Evanston Art Center building since June 19th. And that mural is a meat-based mural that is all about our Assembly Zones program. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that today because while we had a video walkthrough of it up on our website and some other materials, I want to sort of speak to that program as its own art project that, as a collective, the member artists of Bridge have been working on since, I think, 2018 now, going back a while. And it was something that, prior to the pandemic, was an idea that I had, that I invited all the Bridge artists to be involved in helping to produce. And we're I think, very a few weeks away from presenting a prototype of the Assembly Zone, as it were. The idea behind the Assembly Zones program is that in cities, we're really sort of atomized. There's this sort of protocol of anonymity and isolation takes place. And that really became very pronounced during the pandemic, where we're all locked at home and can't interact. I think we really felt the pressure of that long-term isolation over the last few years. But prior to that, prior to the pandemic, this became a sort of pronounced idea in terms of wellness. So when we don't talk to each other, we don't interact, we're social creatures, but we're also, there's a lot of sort of mental health issues that organizations and government and other sort of official capacities don't handle very well. So we're always sort of falling off the cliff on wellness and mental health as a society. And in Chicago in particular, we've over time closed many of our sort of outpatient and support system spaces for mental health in the city. So Assembly Zones started off as this idea of like, well, can we as artists address this issue somehow? And we began thinking about it in terms of an urbanist model, and in terms of like, is there an architectural structure we can build that can live in public space that becomes a space for people to assemble and interact, so you're getting human contact. And originally it was sort of based on this idea of sidewalk talks, which is a group we hope to get involved with, because initially sidewalk talks was an inspiration, and this is also played out in the mural timeline that's on the side of the building. But sidewalk talks was this initial inspiration. A group of therapists got together and we're having the same kind of conversations that wellness wasn't being handled well a lot of vulnerable populations. So they would take lawn chairs and sit them out in front of retirement homes or LGBTQ community centers and offer free therapy services. And in a sense, our move to think about this in terms of architecture was really like, can we just build a space where they can do that all the time? But then they sort of, as the conversations went on, it was like, well, that interaction can in and of itself be a wellness benefit, but then also can we find ways to offer crisis resources? So the second phase of the Assembly Zones mural and our project as an idea was, there are these information deserts out there, places where there's not Wi-Fi readily available, People don't necessarily have smartphones or laptops at home. So it's just more difficult to access information. And we thought, well, if there's a sort of lo-fi way to have a pull tab where people can get information on, dealing with eviction or dealing with hunger poverty or, the list of issues, social ills that we're trying to address. So that's the sort of the, broad strokes of this. And in doing that, Bridge as a journal has always been interested and I think focused on art and writing that has some sort of social engagement to it. So there's this history of the avant-garde, the way those things tie together. And I think in terms of our publishing and programming, we're really trying to think about ways in which art can have that social engagement, have that benefit to the public. And the panel discussion that's coming later today, it really is about that, where the rubber hits the road of those kind of issues. I hope that you'll all listen to this introduction, hear from our readers, and then sit through the panel discussion and listen in too, because I think there's some fascinating conversation to be had there. But to start off, traditionally Bridge as an organization, as an art collective, et cetera, has staged readings going back any number of years. Both of our authors that appear in the journal and who are maybe newer up-and-comers who we want to provide showcases to. And I think the lead-in for that, as I discussed it with the readers prior, was that, the Gospels were written over dinner. So people, conscious develops out of individual experience. And I think in poetry and in literature, there's constantly new discoveries are happening that are just rooted in individual experience. And as an art form, it's my background. It's sort of where I came out of before I sort of had this visual art side engagement as a young writer and publisher myself. So I am very pleased to host a few readers. We are producing the readers and the reading section of this program today in collaboration with Whitney LaMora, who's the curator of the LOCUS program, and also the founder and curator of a Westtown art space called The Martin, where we're having a program later this month as well, connected to the assembly zones and bridge programs. So check our website for that, bridge-chicago.org. But I think all that sort of lays the groundwork then, and I'll do a couple of intros and let the readers go out and do their thing.